Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and man, do we have an awesome one for you today. They just announced a lot more details for the 30 vs 30 Alliance Battlegrounds, where we have more gameplay, an awesome new feature that is basically going to level the playing field, whether you're free to play or you're spending. That's probably a better one to use in actual tense. And then we're also going to be showing you some of the rewards and just some other nice features that they alluded to / showed us in the video. So without further ado, let's jump right into this madness, which is, here we go. So I'm only going to show you a little bit. I also have this kind of a doc that I want to show you, just to kind of give you some details. So let's do this. We're going to start off with the doc, and then I'm going to show you some of the in-game features, just for some of the visuals that we have, which will just kind of be a nice little addition. So, starting off, this is how it works. Alliance Battlegrounds, for eligibility, you got to be in the top 20 rankings. You got to have at least 10 Alliance flags. And then for registration, you got 30 main players. You have 10 subs. You have 16. You must be level 16 for your city hall or more. And this is going to happen every 2 weeks for this event. Now, when you're starting off in the map, you're teleported to a starting area. It's recommended that you recall all of your troops before the match starts. Then you get into your prep phase. You got 3 minutes to strategize along with setting markers. Then we get to the combat phase for kind of part 1. They have this thing called Battle Sync, and we'll show that to you in a bit after we go through this and we show you a little bit from the video. However, artifacts and heroes are max level for everyone, and this is what is sick to me, because it allows for you to essentially limit, to really almost kind of power balance out this mode, where it now isn't about who's the strongest or who has the most max tech or max VIP, all this other stuff. It comes down mostly or most heavily weighted to who has the best strategy, who has the best tactics, who's coordinated, who's the most organized, who communicates the best together. That is really what this is going to come down to. And that, for that single reason, even though, yeah, sure, all the other stuff is cool, because that is the way they're going about it, I am already ecstatic. Man, I hope that and I've asked them about this, if they're going to add in some way to commentate on matches. I would love to be able to commentate on Alliance vs. Alliance games, whether it's in real time or even if there's some type of delay function. Like, that's something we were talking about, is like, hey, what if they put a delay thing in, so you, as a spectator, like if they wanted to say, hey, you want to come in and watch this, it's going to be on like a 3-minute delay or something like that, right? Or a 2-3 minute delay. But if you're someone, maybe like myself or others who want to commentate on them, maybe they'll add like a separate position in where we can come in and do that for matches that are going on live, and we'll just kind of have maybe tools, or maybe it'll still be a delay. It probably wouldn't be the best live, because if people are watching that, then yeah, it probably wouldn't be that good because they can relay that information of what's happening. So yeah, probably a delay for that too. But let's continue. You get 5 different talent presets, which is cool. That means you could switch between them. So I'm really excited for this, because maybe you have a speed preset, maybe you have a glass cannon DPS preset, maybe you have a counterattack damage, or you have a rage generation preset. Whatever it may be, I love the fact that you can do this. Changes also in Battle Sync will only apply within the event, and they're not applicable outside. Then let's talk about some of the things that do apply in Roots of War versus what does not apply. So let's start with does not apply. Policies, season reset buffs, and room buffs do not apply. Typo. And then what does apply? Tech. However, I'm curious if this is individual and alliance tech, or just one, because they just said tech in the video, and then you have faction buffs, title buffs, which I'm assuming is officer titles from your alliance that will take effect. So this almost makes me think that maybe tech is individual and alliance. Then you have buildings, city themes, and then some items. So the city theme thing, I think, to me, is really the only hard kind of spender buff that you're going to have applicable, just because typically for the ones that you're probably going to get better city themes if you have to spend for anything, or if you're limited by getting those for certain events that you do, which might only be limited to the strongest alliance at certain intervals throughout a season. So we'll have to see how that plays out, but I don't necessarily feel that that's going to be the most overwhelming factor. I think it's going to be a minor factor in my opinion. Then we get to combat continued. Defeating enemy units, occupying buildings, gathering lumen bright pools, which we'll show off in a bit, to score individual and alliance points. You must deliver Lifestone, which is another thing, to your controlled or neutral buildings to grant massive points to your alliance. 3 Lifestone buildings are scattered across the map, and they will appear randomly. So you kind of have to be paying attention and then go to these or fight for them as they do. Now, it'll be curious if there's some type of consistency or trend where maybe there's set positions and you just have to play enough to see what those positions are, and then if there's any way to maybe kind of figure out what those intervals are between when they spawn, and then, hey, is there some type of consistency to this? So we'll have to see. I'm sure our data gatherers out there will enjoy that one. Lifestone will also allow for you to summon behemoths, which is pretty cool that that's going to be an option here. Now, when it comes to occupying buildings, you gain points and unique benefits. Some of the structures include halls, outposts, tree of healing, tree of courage, and hall of nature. Now to the Lumen Bright pools. Legions must return to camp in order to gain points gathered from these pools, right? So it's not like you're just gathering them the moment that you finish depleting it or the moment that you recall you have to make it all the way back. Then you get to the Druid Hut, which, from what they're saying, this is where the severely wounded units will be healed. You can use Elixir Healing. On top of your Elixir production speed is based on the number of tree healing structures, buildings, that you have occupied. Then we get to the last one, which is rewards based on personal point scores, and then also whether or not the Alliance won the match. Okay, now let's get to some cool stuff here so we can just show you some of the things in-game that I wanted to point out. So here you can kind of see the starting of it, where you're going into Roots of War, you're not registered, right? It's asking, now it's kind of giving you some of the details, and it'll show you top 20, 10 Alliance structures, 30 that you saw there for the mains, 10 for the subs, Roots of War that we're going in. Let's fast forward to some of the goodies here, kind of overview of the map, some of the starting areas that you're seeing here for some of the sides, and then some gameplay. I'm going to pause here on the gameplay for a moment. Mini-map top right, so I like how it kind of distinguishes which structures are owned by which sides, which at least that's how it appears with the blue and yellow. You can also put markers that you're seeing right here, as we mentioned, on the map, which is pretty cool. You got the timer, points for each side, and then you're kind of seeing the battles that are playing out, right? Which is kind of nice to get a little bit of a wider view, and it pretty much plays out the similar ways in PvP. Now let's get to some of the other stuff. Like we mentioned, starting area, you can see the battle commencing, 876. You can kind of see the countdown. You also see the timer here, top left, which is below your avatar profile. And as we go in, let's fast forward to more goodies. So this is the multi-preset option that you see, where they're kind of going back and forth between different type of talent tree sets, which I think is actually pretty cool. Then here, that's where you see the battle sync. So here's the hero screen, right? You see everyone at max level, and this is essentially what you're able to use. So max skill level, max star level, everything. Same thing with artifacts. You basically get... The cool thing I like about this as well is, to me, this almost feels like a way to kind of test artifacts that you might use in your actual Kingdom Wars, in addition to what you're going to do here. It kind of also gives you opportunities if you want to test certain pairings before maybe you consider investing in them, right? If you're someone who's spending or you're considering spending, also think of it like that, as a way to kind of prep things or preview things before you potentially spend. So just different ways of looking at it. Showing you kind of the changes to healing, Legion capacity changes as well. You can kind of see on the sidebar where it had policies, the buffs, things like that are going to be applied. These are the Lumen pools, Lumen Bright pools that you're seeing here, where you're gathering and then having to kind of return to where you need to get to. I think we see some more fights that are happening here. I think this is one of those that you see spawning, and you can kind of see them collecting it, almost kind of like the runes or stones that drop in a behemoth battle. Those are the ones that kind of randomly spawn at certain times throughout the map, where you kind of have to go and gather. Again, kind of showing you some of the structures here as they're cycling through, like they showed Tree of Healing, Tree of Courage. This one, that was interesting too as well. I wasn't sure what that one was. Let's see here. These are the Lumen Bright pools, Tree of Healing. Ooh, let's see. So the tree, ongoing occupation. Oh, I see. So this kind of shows you what the gathering rates are, and then the amount of what looks like either points or something else that you'll get for first occupation, and then the ongoing occupation that you get. Kills, attacking, defending field. 10,000 power. Oh, okay. I wish it gave I wonder what that means by that. I wish they showed you the whole thing again. You know, we'll probably end up seeing more of it once the update goes live and the first event comes out, or if we can take a look and see what some of the details are. Let's see, Lumen Bright. Yeah, this is what we talked about with the Elixir Healing, right? So you can kind of see Elixir production speed plus 20%. And you can see Alliance points, player points here, right, for first occupation ongoing, but having these gets it. I wish they would have showed us kind of where that healing area is. Now, you could see here that you can actually reinforce the building. So I wonder if things like rallies are going to be a big thing here in the game or not, or I should say if they will be bigger in this mode, because typically the only thing you're really rallying for the most part is passes in an actual Kingdom or Merge Kingdom events or KVKs. And so I wonder if rallying will be a little more prevalent here. I mean, clearly the open field will most likely be the most important because there's structures and things that are going to be popping up that you're going to have to constantly go for. But I wonder, in addition, I wonder how impactful, if you really think about it, right? Because I imagine the collision mechanic is still going to apply. So to me, will you really need to reinforce buildings at all? Will you just maybe need to have a few people in there? And are buildings going to act like keeps do, where you attack them individually? Will there be rallying? Which I imagine has to be, because you have a rally, you have the rally flag here, right? So you're kind of the garrison captain. But to me, it almost feels like whether or not, and then on top of that, let's say rallies are going to be a thing. How are you going to rally from all the way across the map? What would be cool to me is if you could set a rally point just anywhere on the map, if it's like 10 kilometers, 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers away from where you want to rally, and then everyone just kind of gathers on that unit, like they're being sucked in or absorbed into that unit, and then the rally goes. That would be cool. You can kind of set impromptu rallies, and then maybe like there's a certain distance that you have to set the rally outside of the building. I'm just kind of throwing things out there. It's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. But my point that I'm going with is that if you factor in the collision system or mechanic, you arguably could fight in the open field and just not let anyone pass you to go and attack the buildings and then get access to them, right? Just kind of in one regard. Then we get to the Celestial Battleground events, and they just kind of gave a little bit of information here. 10 stages, Celestials will heal at certain stages, and you get to choose Battleground effects, which I thought was pretty cool. Then we get to some of the Alliance improvements. Now, they added two things here that they're showing off, which is one, the recruitment that they alluded to in the patch notes, and this is essentially where you can go in here and you can just send your recruitment ad. I don't know how I necessarily feel about this. I would have loved if you could have wrote some text here as kind of a promotional thing, where instead, again, I'm not mad at this because it does take you directly to the announcement so you can see. But what to me would be even, I don't want to say cooler, but I would have liked for them to maybe add like some type of a promo thing. Like, so not an announcement, but something else that you can write up, which when they click on it, it kind of just basically gives you a overview of like what your big recruiting things are. Because most of the time for Alliance announcements, you're not necessarily going to write an Alliance announcement the same way that you would write a recruiting ad. So I really would like for there to be a difference there. Or basically just something else that's only for that, right? That you can access in the settings, and you can like write up your own kind of recruitment announcement. And then that's what would show when people click on that. Then we end up getting to the logs. So they added Alliance logs, and this is one of the cool things that they alluded to in one of the dev feedback updates, but now you're seeing you're going to have logs for events, members, and battles. So I'll be interested to see what the events is and kind of how that works. I like how the battles it'll be able to show you. Now, I'm hoping for battles it's going to show you anyone that gets attacked at any point in time, at any time you do the attacking. In that case, I really would like if they could provide 2 sub-tabs for attacker, defender, something like that would be great. So that way you can see what the difference is. And it just kind of makes it easier, I think, to kind of break that out. Season improvements they show a little bit on, and Golden Crest artifact. The last one I wanted to show you guys here because I thought this was pretty cool.
Now let's talk about the real election. The real election. Now let's talk about the key elements.
Real life story. My
Real
name
life.
is...
Yeah, so always dope to get like the little blooper. I really like how they put that in there because to me it almost just makes it a little more personable and relatable. And always nice to have a little bit more of some humor connected to your, I don't want to say reps, but community individuals, we'll say. Alrighty, that's going to really do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm pretty excited. There's a lot coming in this update, and this was really cool to see a preview where we were able to mainly see visuals for what's to come. And again, remember, I'm going to have that doc that I showed off. That's going to be in the description/pinned comment. And on top of that, if anyone knows, and maybe I'm going to have to ask this as well, but if anyone knows, and maybe I just misheard this, but if the individual Alliance tech and Alliance tech, individual tech and Alliance tech will be applying when they said tech, that'd be great to know. And if so, I'll try to put in an update on the Word doc for that if we find out or someone just lets me know. Okay, that's it for me. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, until next time, I will catch you later.